okay, it's a Tafsir class.
Right.
I can pick up a book on Tafsir and I can read Surah An-Nūr. I can read the translation. I'll get the meaning, right?
That is such a frustrating, what is that?
Right?
A situation?
It's a frustrating, contention. Such a frustrating contention.
Yeah.
When someone says that, I say, are you serious?
AlMaghrib Institute presents Q&A with Kamal al-Mekki.
Whenever somebody would say that, like my straight out point blank is like, when was the last time you read a book on Tafsir?
Exactly.
Like, I'll guarantee you, not in the last year.
Yeah, and it's also it's insinuating that I'm just giving you one tafsir book, you know, like, so if someone says, well, I can pick up a tafsir book and learn, I'll tell them, with all due respect, you have to pick up 19 tafsir books because this was not one book here. So I did all this reading and gathered material from 19 different sources to present it to you.
Yeah.
So to equate that, you have to go read the same sources I read.
Okay.
I'm not just giving you...
And with all due respect, that's also a lifetime of study behind it, right? You're having actually somebody qualified reading these books. So it's not like...
Well, lifetime of study in the field, right?
So it's not like 19-year-old Ahmed opening up 19 tafsir books and seeing what he can get, right? Okay. And it's peer-reviewed, right? That's discussions with Shaykh on a million different topics. Yeah. And it's traveled the world, questions, discussions, debates, fixing. You're getting like a finished...
It gets like reshaped also.
Of course,
like
it's refined.
A life of its own.
Even if you sat down and said, I'm going to read 19 tafsir books, you're not going to get the same experience.
Okay. And so, but then the other question comes in is like, all right, what can you expect somebody to be able to do?
Yeah.
With this?
So for example, we discuss a lot of issues of law.
Yeah.
And you're not going to practically implement any of this stuff.
Yeah.
Right? So how do you benefit from it? Well, first of all, I don't know how to tell this story, but basically there was here in America a young man who committed zina.
Okay.
Okay. And
that's not an oddity.
Yeah. But this part is.
Okay.
And I don't know how to express this part, but basically he felt the expiation was to sever a body part. Yeah.
No.
Yes, and he comes into the masjid with said body part in his hand. He's like, Shaitan, crying and stuff.
Here in the US?
Yes, here in the US, sir.
La ilaha illallah.
Here in the US. So one of the things, and AlMaghrib, I'm telling you, we're going to dwell on this one for a while.
Come on.
Yes, sir. Yeah. One of the things that AlMaghrib was foresighted enough to say, put this in the notes, this disclaimer in the notes, and in the PowerPoint presentation, and verbally say it. And that is, first of all, like when you exercise a punishment or execute a punishment, it's only done by the state or by an authority.
Yeah.
So I tell someone, like, if someone does haram, they drink alcohol.
Yeah.
You can't go into your best friend's house, knock on his window, and like, hey man, open the door. This is at late night. You go in and like, hey, I got you a whip. I drank some alcohol, so I want to be expiated from the sin. So just here, whip me 80 times on my back. I always tell someone, if your best friend whips you 80 times on your back, it did not expiate your sin, and it didn't do anything. The only thing that happened is your best friend whipped you 80 times on your back. That's it. But so that's one thing.
Yeah.
Don't think that you can go and have your friend punish you or punish yourself or inflict some kind of pain as expiation.
Okay.
And this mentality, sometimes even good shuyukh propagated. One time we were at a masjid, and this good student of knowledge, he in his khutbah mentioned one of the early Muslims, he touched a woman, so then he put his hand in the coal to punish himself. So an older Shaykh Jafar Idris, he got up, he was angry at the end of the khutbah, and that's like his student, so he refuted him in front of the audience. He said,
how'd you do that during the khutbah?
I mean, after the khutbah, after the salah. Okay. He got up and he said, this mentality, even if it's one of the early Muslims who did it, it is incorrect. Okay. Like where you think that if I touch something haram, I go burn my hand and that kind of expiates for it. It's dangerous to spread this in the community.
Okay.
So that's one practical application of the knowledge.
So on one end, so basically it's more along the lines of...
First of all, we moved way too fast from that guy in the masjid. Okay? First of all, where did he read about any sort of expiation that's like that?
Where did he get that idea? No person in their right mind would sever any part of your body.
It's I don't know what it's traumatic, man. The hadith that people, a lot of times when you hear people and their stories of committing zina, like famous stories, the guilt is after the act. They feel incredible guilt.
Okay.
And in the hadith, the Prophet describes that. He says when a person commits zina, his iman emerges, leaves him.
Okay.
كان عليه كالظلة, like a cloud over him.
Yeah.
And then when he's done with the act, the iman comes back. So he's hit with extreme guilt.
Sure.
And he wanted to, he doesn't know what the Sharia looks like. So in his mind is like, if you do this, you get punished. And I don't live in a Muslim state, I'm going to punish myself. Yeah. But there's also the question, why walk in to the masjid with it in your hand?
Well, I feel like this guy had a lot of.
I should have used another story.
Like he's got some issues, man. Like not even ignorance, but like he needs to see somebody.
I know a guy like that. No, this is a little off topic, but I just love the story. This guy, I've known him for years, and one day I see him and his wrist is cut off.
No.
I was like, what happened? He was just crying. It was an incident. I'm like, accident? No, incident. And then next week he tells me what happened. He said he was paranoid. He thought he was being followed. So to throw them off, I don't know how this works, but in his mind, to throw them off, he said, I walked into a halal store. The butcher was inside getting something from the fridge. He said, I turned the saw on and I just put my wrist and just chopped it off.
La ilaha illallah.
Oh, you guys crazy, man.
Yeah.
They're straight up like schizophrenic.
And I always wonder, like when the guy came out of the fridge and just found a hand on the saw.
Yo, FDA be like, yo, or the food inspector people come in.
I tell people that's why you found the nail in your chapli kebab, because. And then he's like, I'm walking around the streets talking to strangers with my arm bleeding, and then the cops came, they took me, they think I'm crazy. He's like, you know me, am I crazy? And I'm like, no, I mean.
It's like if you do that to yourself, I don't know what you're gonna do to me.
Super misguided. Oh my goodness.
And I asked him, like, how did that throw them off your trail? Like, why did they stop following you? Because you cut your arm off. And then he just looked at me and said, I don't know. Miskin. Anyways.
Misguided.
All right, way to go off topic, I said.
I mean.
But you see what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
people think that, I should punish
but
myself.
These two examples that, okay, fine, the first guy, like in both these cases, I think both people are crazy.
Probably.
Like
that first guy, I think it hit him hard what he did.
No, I think he was insane.
You think he was insane?
I definitely think he was off his meds.
Yeah, both of these guys, like
Yeah.
maybe it's a combination of them being off their meds and being completely ignorant.
And my friend saw this guy, but this is not a story I heard that they say. My friend saw him walking into the masjid, crying. And
the question is, why did he walk into the masjid with it?
Beyond this guy, because we don't want to spend the entire time talking about the prescribed punishments, because
we could.
That's exactly what we didn't want to do.
Yeah.
Right.
But with Surat Al-Nūr, Surat Al-Nūr, number one, it's an unfamiliar surah to most.
Yeah.
It's not Surah Al-Baqarah, it's not Surah Yasin, it's not Surah
Right.
Al-Rahman. But at the same time, for those who know, it is an incredibly important surah.
Yes.
And I think
It's a dense surah.
it's a great dense surah. Bilal actually, who had recorded the course with you, he said that after the seminar, a person feels like they will trust the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's like the objective of the course, is that you will walk in trusting the laws of Allah.
And if I only accomplish that,
No.
I believe I've succeeded.
Yeah.
Because what I always tell people in the first day, I tell them that we haven't lived in a Muslim state, not even our grandparents, right?
Yeah.
We don't know what it's like. And we just imagine it was like the Wild West, but it's instead of 6 shooters or whatever, we've got swords.
Yeah.
And then you don't like a guy, you just challenge him to a duel. But it's not like that. It's not lawlessness. And a lot of times, yes, even the Muslims, they get the same from the sources as the non-Muslims. It's from movies. And in movies, you get your arm chopped off. My kids were watching Aladdin recently, Disney's Aladdin.
Oh.
I remember being
The
like
old
7
one.
years old and seeing that scene
The shop
with
owner.
Jasmine, where
Yeah.
Jasmine's just
Uh-huh.
like taking an apple because she's hungry.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And the guy goes, thief! And he grabs her hand and he's about to
And
cut
he
it
says,
off.
you know what the punishment is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when in Muslim history, could a guy selling vegetables just pull his sword out and like,
And
hey,
cut
this
off
is
somebody's
how it
hand.
works. No judge, nothing.
Yeah.
Even the value, there's no cutting off over a food item. I would tell people, look how merciful the Muslim state is. If you're caught stealing food and you're taken to a judge, the judge would say, why are you stealing food? Aren't you given a stipend by the government?